welcome to another video from Tiny House and Off-Grid Resources. I'm rumbling along the road in my old truck heading to the ferry at the bottom of the North Island of New Zealand in our capital city of Wellington, because I'm heading to the South Island with this big tiny house on the back. I've got a 20-foot over width tiny house that I've built recently that has been sold to a lovely couple in Christchurch, which is the city in the South Island that had the massive 7.9 earthquake about 5 years ago, and many people were displaced from their homes. Real estate down there has been at a premium since then because much of the land has been deemed unsuitable to build on, and a lot of people have been going the tiny house way. So I'm really glad that I'm able to help. This thing on the back is going to house a lovely young chef and his wife who have 2 children, which are quite close in age. They're all really excited to see this thing. We've been doing the deal over the last few weeks, over the Christmas period, and we've put everything in place, and they've given me a little extra on top of the purchase price to get this thing down to them. So, as I say, I'm on State Highway 1 that runs right down the middle of the country, and I'm heading south. Oh joy, I'm parked on the side of the road in beautiful countryside with a broken down ute. I've just lost my clutch. Suddenly everything just went poof and went to the floor, and I can't change gear, can't get it moving. Lots of traffic, it's Friday afternoon, everybody's going somewhere, and I'm stuck here. So I've rung the Inter-Islander Ferry company and changed my booking till Tuesday, and I've called a transport company to come out here and tow me in.
Well, that tow just cost me $500 to get me into the industrial centre of Taupo. It's now 7 o'clock in the evening, everywhere's shut, everybody's home, and I'm a bit stuck.
I'm at e-bike in Taupo, and the reason I'm here is because I called in to ask if they might have a bike that would be available to me to use. Oh, and here's Mark. Mark owns the place, and Mark's just decided that for the next 3 or 4 days he's going to let me have the use of this old shitter here, which is not worth a lot to him, but for me, for the next 3 or 4 days, it's my ticket to freedom.
You basically put this plant really compressed.
These people are from the Czech Republic, and they have visited me in my little tiny house while I'm broken down, and we are learning so much from each other. We are learning all about medicinal plants and alternative living, and we met in a hot pool.
Yes.
They're amazing. We're having a great time. Now Craig, the super nice guy from Taupo Brake and Clutch, who's helping me no end with my ute, has told me that I can have this boat trailer. It needs new wheel bearings, but he just happens to have some lying around, so I'll pay him for the wheel bearings, and I get this nice galvanised trailer for the price of the wheel bearings. Heaven knows what I'll end up doing with it, but something for free, I can't leave it behind. So here's my clutch release slave cylinder that's concentric with the input shaft. They're a very expensive unit. They're almost $300 to replace, and they're supposed to be unserviceable. But I had a look at it and found a secret little circlip that I undid, and found that there's nothing more inside it for seals than O-rings. one O-ring was broken, so I went and bought $2 worth of O-rings and repaired it. We've pressure tested it, it's ready to go back in. But the other issue is the pilot bearing pooed itself and ended up rattling around inside the clutch, and it's damaged all around in here. Now, if I had to, I could reuse it, but it's better to replace it. Even though it's got plenty of meat left on it, it's damaged on the inside here. And my clutch cover, which the pressure plate, which he's taken away to get part numbers off, things like that, that's also very damaged. So even though the thing that actually broke has only cost me $2 to fix, this with its corresponding part could be $800 or $900, and I'm not going to scrimp. I'm going to buy those parts. Over here, here's my wagon up on the hoist, and here's my gearbox, and all of those bits that are on the bench fit in here. And for those who don't know, what the clutch does is it disengages the motor from the gearbox each time you push the clutch in and change gear. So it's the release bearing, it's the mechanism that does that pushing that's failed. And it's nearly 5 o'clock, it's nearly the end of day one working on it. We're not going to get it back in by 5. It looks like I'll be spending another night here, but I may be out of here by tomorrow, which is marvellous.
So here's the damaged clutch. You can see where the old one, which had been badly set up, was rubbing against it, which caused the pilot bearing to poo itself. The pilot bearing exploded and did that damage. So here's the nice new clutch cover that's going on, the repaired thrust bearing, and a new clutch plate. Craig has resurfaced the flywheel face, and here's Craig from Taupo Brake and Clutch setting up the clutch for me. I've been doing most of it, but we decided that he should at least have some involvement if he's going to charge me money. So that gets set up in a concentric fashion. It has to line up the outer and the inner. Now we had a problem. There's a ridge on the clutch cover which stuck out too far for this aftermarket release bearing. So we've started the engine, the flywheel's spinning because the engine's running, and I'm grinding 1/8 of an inch, 3.2 millimeters off this lip. Now something happened here. I was devastated. Climbing up this big hill, I got a puncture. Didn't know, shagged the tyre completely. Had to leave the trailer, turn around, go back to Turangi, another 30 or 40 miles each way, and get myself a new tyre on the trailer. But I made it. Here I am in Taihape, getting fueled up. I am facing the other way because I missed this petrol station and it was on the other side of the road, so I turned around and put another $103 in. I'm up to about $400 so far in fuel costs. You'll see that the thing is built to maximum height and the roof at the service station is just big enough. And I made it to the ferry with 2 hours to spare. Here I am, getting loaded into the ferry. Apart from the trucks, apart from the truck trailers that are travelling by themselves, I am the first member of the public to be put in, which means they're going to nose me up to the big door at the front and I'll be the first off. So I'm all parked. They've got the extraction fans going now because everybody else is driving in their cars. Most people grab themselves a bit of bedding and head upstairs to the passenger decks. This is a night ferry. The time is now 2:30 in the morning. We sail at 3 and we arrive at about 7 o'clock the following day in the morning. So here's somebody else with their bedding heading up, just as the rest of the public are bringing their cars in to fill up these gaps down the middle. Looks like me and this guy will be the first up on the passenger deck, so we'll get the most comfortable sleeping posies for the next 5 or 6 hours until we land. And here we are. It's dawn in the Marlborough Sounds at the top of the South Island. We're cruising through the Sounds, and here we are, arriving in Picton. We're coming in at a fair lick. We're still doing a good sort of 15 or 20 miles an hour, and we'll be docking shortly. Now this gentleman is the gatekeeper. It's his job, when the ferry is in place, to open the huge front ramp. That's going to allow us out onto the wharf. He's just waiting for the signal, and here we go. The big door is beginning to open. Now, as I stood here, waiting for the ramp to come down, I had a thought. I remembered that my friend Tony had just put a picture of her truck going through the tunnels on the Kaikoura coast. And I realised that they won't fit an over-width vehicle. So I had to do a frantic bit of internet searching to find the measurements of these tunnels, and I discovered that they were barely wide enough for this over-width tiny house to fit through. So I'm faced with a 480 kilometre detour. Now, nothing went easy on this trip. Look at that ground clearance at the back. This is caused by the different tide height. So I'm just waiting for the boys to bring some blocks, and we're going to run the wheels over some blocks, and that will just get me clear, and then now I'm on my way. I'm just leaving the shunting yards and marshalling area for the Inter-Islander ferry, and here we are on the open road, rolling through the countryside, heading for Christchurch. But because of those pesky tunnels on the Kaikoura highway, I've had to take the long way, which is an extra 470 kilometres on the inland route, which will take me the rest of the day to get to Christchurch. So it's a lovely day. I'm rolling along here by myself. I better sort out some sounds, I think. Well, the GPS tells me I'm rolling into Christchurch. That's the Port Hills ahead of me. And here is the house placed on its new section with its new owners. Sorry that there was only a very small amount of footage. We just got so busy talking we didn't remember to actually film the placement or the walk around of the tiny house. But here I am, minus tiny house, zooming home, back up through the South Island. Those one-way bridges are no longer a challenge. There's plenty of them, and I'm heading for the ferry. I've got an hour and a half to get to Picton for the ferry. Raven asked me if I'd be so kind as to pick some mullein for her, and I found a field that seems to be growing nothing but mullein. It just went on forever, and these huge plants have all those gorgeous leaves ready for herbalists to make the tinctures and balms that herbalists use these things for.
This is Kaikoura, the whale watching town. I'm standing outside the little laundromat for no real reason in particular, just for a break in the trip, looking for a pizza shop.
Kaikoura, literally translated, means eating crayfish. The Maoris moved here because of the abundant sea life. Nowadays, people come here for the whale watching. It's only a small town, but it is jam-packed with tourists during the season. But they had a little bit of bad luck. 2 years ago, a hill fell over during an earthquake and severely damaged the road leading into and leading out of the town. The town itself suffered a little bit of damage, but they were cut off from the outside world for over a year until the highway was properly repaired. Stoic people. The businesses have somehow kept going. It's been amazing. They did a full year without any tourist trade and without any through traffic. Everything that was coming to this town had to take the detour that I had to take on the way down here. It's 480 kilometres further than the direct route. Kaikoura is such a picturesque town. Anyway, here I am leaving little old Kaikoura and heading out onto the main highway. You can see the damage from this earthquake a couple of years ago. These shipping containers are there to capture any falling rocks that come down and protect the highway and the cars on it. Lots of work is being done, has been for the last 2 years. The roading people and the railway people have got to completely remake tunnels, bridges, road and railway for a 50 to 60 mile strip along the coast. The entire coastline was hurled up by some 2 to 3 metres, and we now have a bigger foreshore than we used to have before. I'm heading for the ferry. I've got an hour and a half to get to the ferry, so I've got a bit of a wiggle on. I don't want to miss it. Right. So here I am in Wellington. I'm with my friend Anne, who is from Belgium. Here's Anne. And we are picking blackberries. That she knows the spot on the side of somebody's driveway. And take a look at all this gorgeous fruit. It's just nuts. We are getting
a couple of kilograms of this beautiful, beautiful stuff. I don't know what we're going to do with it. I don't know whether it will be blackberry muffins or jam or what, but it's all looking really nice. And this is part of my enforced holiday as I travel down to deliver the tiny house down in Christchurch. I've made it back to Wellington with a rental vehicle, and now I've got to wait for my vehicle to get fixed. Today's a public holiday, nobody's working, so
I'll be taking full advantage of Anne's hospitality until tomorrow, when I can pick up my own vehicle and get rid of this rental ute.
well, here I am rolling through the countryside in the North Island again after my epic trip to the South Island that has cost me thousands of dollars in repairs and vehicle hire. It's been quite an excursion. I've met some wonderful people. I've been treated to some great little treats by the people who've been looking after me while I've been displaced and waiting for vehicles to be fixed, things like that. My little truck here is all repaired. It's something I could have done at home quite easily myself and saved a fortune, but when you're on the road, what can you do? You've just got to pay somebody to do the jobs that you can do yourself. The whole issue was caused by a 20-cent O-ring in the clutch release mechanism, and a slight misalignment was prematurely wearing it, and it let go on me twice. So I had to have it repaired twice during the trip. It was a damn nuisance, but the tiny house is now living 1,000 kilometres away from where it was built, on the other island, the South Island of New Zealand. I'm on my way home. I'll be catching up with the things that I've got to do, watering my poor garden. I hope it's rained a little bit while I've been away. The spiders will have taken over my little tiny house. They'll think it's Christmas again, and I can settle back into a more stable work pattern. Looking forward to getting this stinking bag of clothes that I've got with me. I haven't washed any of my clothes. I've just been changing them and working through the clothes that I'd taken for a 4-day trip that have had to last me for 2 weeks. So, tons of fun. Tons of fun. Thank you for watching this epic adventure that I've been on, and thank you for all the comments on my other videos. Thank you for making my little video that I did 5 months ago on Josh's stealth Housetruck build absolutely viral. While I've been away, I've watched that video go from 1,900 views to 187,000 views. The algorithm on YouTube have just grabbed hold of it and run. As I say, tens of thousands of views. Well, over 100 and something, nearly 200,000 views in 2 weeks. So thank you for that. It all helps with the exposure of getting the channel out there. I've also been lucky to receive an extra 1,000 subscriptions over the last 2 weeks. So hello to everybody who's recently joined the channel. I hope that you're going to enjoy the things that we chat about and the things that we do. I've got lots coming up over the next few months as soon as I'm home again, and good to have you aboard. So as the Maoris, the indigenous people of New Zealand say, haere rā. That is goodbye and travel well. You know, one of the best things about living in New Zealand is the lack of people. There's 7 million people, but there's a lot of space where you can get away from people. And one of the best things on a long journey in the middle of the summer is being able to do this.